we're kind of critiquing the companies, we usually watch a lot of video. Of course, we have a programming committee meeting as well. We watch videos online. There's usually a booking conference that we attend called APAP in New York City, where we watch dance from 8 in the morning to 12 o'clock at night. You think that's an exaggeration, but it's not. There's so many amazing companies that you can see in one day just by going to New York. So that's always a fun time too. But then we look at all the videos and we critique it for several different things. I wish I could only critique the artistic component and say, I'm done, that's great, that's what we're gonna do. But it's a little bit more like a puzzle because we're going to critique it for different things. There's the artistic component of what's the mood of the piece, what's the theme of the piece, what's the technical skill of the dancers, how big is the company, how small is the company, those types of things. And we always want to make sure that we're presenting pieces that aren't going to all feel the same. For example, if I have a company like Momix, which is very entertaining, flashy, has lots of visual elements, that might pair really nicely with, say, Alonzo King Lyne's ballet, which is contemporary fluid movement, lots of very dancey dance. Pilables and Momix, you wouldn't want to put on the same thing because those companies are extremely similar. So it's figuring out how you're going to create a season that's going to have a little bit of everything. And we always like to say that when we're building a season, there's going to be something for everyone. There's going to be something that you really might enjoy, and then there might be something that it takes you a minute. You might not actually like it at the very beginning of the piece, and by the end, you might have to sit with it a while. And sometimes it's those pieces that challenge you the most that I find are actually the most impactful. And then years down the line, you're still talking about them. So it's like, well, was that an enjoyable experience or was it just an experience that stuck with you? So I think that finding different dance companies that we can appreciate in different ways and build a season that includes all of those is really important. The other thing is we really like to make sure that obviously we're having companies of all different representation. Oftentimes we have a season with lots of different multicultural dance companies because some of the different choreographers that are out there that do have multicultural backgrounds are the best choreographers out there right now. So representation is really important to us as well. And then another consideration is funding. How much do these companies cost? Is this something that we can afford? Is it something that's going to align with the mission or the value or the strategic goals of some of our funders that we have connections with? So that's another component that oftentimes Teresa and I talk a lot about because it might be something I love artistically, but if we can't afford it or we don't have the funding behind it, that makes it really difficult. At the end of the day, the ticket sales alone will never pay for a performance. So that is a very important factor. We also rely heavily on our wonderful partnerships with Playhouse Square, Tri-C, Cleveland State, the University of Akron, and many more. So usually when I'm presenting an idea to our partners, I want to get their feedback, and I usually give them 1 or 2 options of companies that we're considering, and then we build around that. And then finally, availability. As Teresa said, as a presenter, we don't have our own venue. We are a resident company of Playhouse Square, but there are several resident companies of Playhouse Square. So we have what we like to call the land grab, where we kind of have to grab our little piece of theater time. And if that date doesn't fall in line with a time where a company that we're interested is touring, then we're going to have to kind of go to our plan B. And again, that's why it's like this moving puzzle until later in the year when we're able to solidify it a little bit more.